My name is Jared James. If you aren't familiar with me, I'm best known as an entrepreneur that gets the unique opportunity to coach and train agents and brokers in the real estate world and speak at conferences in front of thousands of people. But it wasn't always that way for me. What separates me from so many others is that I've actually done everything that I want you to be able to do. For that reason, this is the place to come if you want to learn the strategies needed to succeed in today's marketplace. This is the Jared James Today Show.
Hey everybody, Jared James here, and did you know that you are costing yourself literally tens of thousands of dollars every single year because of what you're saying, and more importantly, what you're not saying, the phrases that you aren't using, and that's what we're going to discuss today. Welcome to episode 10 of the Jared James Today Show. It's crazy that we're here. I feel like we just shot the first episode recently, but this is episode 10, so really cool thing. Shout out to all of you that have been watching. We're getting tens of thousands of views on the other episodes, so that's always really cool. Thanks to all of you that have been sharing it. Make sure, as always, guys, connect with me. Go to connectwithjared.com. Send me a message. Let me know you're watching, especially on Snapchat, what you're liking, what you want to hear about, more importantly, because I love to talk about the things that actually matter to you guys. Subscribe on YouTube if you're watching there. If you're on Facebook, you can go to YouTube. It's easy enough to find. Just type in Jared James Today, and it'll be there for you. But today, I want to talk about 5 specific phrases that you need to start working into your real estate business. And what I mean by that is finding a way. I'm going to talk about this and show you how you can work a lot of these phrases into many different types of scenarios, but you need to find a way to work them in because you're going to make yourself a lot more money by doing that. You know, we are an industry of people who are talented people. I was doing a training just yesterday on lead conversion, and you can actually, I think we can link up right here. You can check out that training right now. Right now it's free. The scripts we went over are free. It's all there for you. Share it with someone who's going to help them. We went over buyer scripts, seller scripts, FSBO scripts, expired scripts, all of this kind of stuff. But I was talking about how we are an industry of talented people. And for a lot of you, you have a personality type where you go through your whole life and you just you're a people person and you know how to work with people. And that's fantastic. But in this industry, everyone's talented. That's not enough. You need to become a pro. You need to know what kind of words and phrases get you to the place where you want to go. You know, I'm reminded of that movie Inception with Leonardo DiCaprio. And so much of that movie is so true. You know, we really train people by the thoughts that we plant in their head, what to think about, where to go, what kind of conclusions we want them to draw. What do you think happens when I shoot videos like this and many of you end up signing up for coaching or signing up for marketing, or I do a live event? 20 minutes ago, you weren't even thinking about that. But now I get in front of you, I give you the issues that are in front of you, how to solve those issues, give you a solution to that, and now you're like, oh, I need to be in coaching, or oh, that's exactly how it works, and that's the way that it needs to work for you as well. Now, before I go into these, I also understand that a lot of personalities in this industry have a tendency to tell everybody, well, I'm not scripted. I don't believe in scripts. I don't believe in being scripted. And I was one of those people for many years, and it's because I didn't really understand what I was saying. Do you get that everything you do throughout your whole world is scripted? Do you get that when you walk up to a friend you haven't seen all day or whatever it is and you go, hey, how's it going? Do you realize that's a script that you've learned? That's a saying, that's a phrase that you have learned that's going to now get you to the point that you want in that conversation, which is for them to tell you how it's going? That is a script. So please do not turn yourself off to the idea that you want to learn phrases or learn certain lines when they're going to get you to the place that you want to go to. Think of it like this. McDonald's workers even know how to use this inception idea, use these phrases that get you to where they want you to go. When you walk into McDonald's, what happens? They go, thank you for coming to McDonald's. May I take your order? What are they trying to do? When they say, may I take your order, they're planting the seed in your head that it's time to take an order. And they're trying to move that line along, so all of a sudden you're going, it's time to give an order. And you start giving orders because of a very simple line, a very simple question that they asked you. It's no different in your business, but I'm going to give you 5 that are really clever. They're going to get you to the place that you want to be with buyers and sellers in an easy way and be able to close on them in a much easier fashion. Okay? I also want you to understand that when we talk about about phrases, when we talk about words, you need to understand pattern disrupt. Pattern disrupt is an amazing way to get someone to convert with you, to do something you want, because you're throwing off their balance. You're throwing off what they're expecting to happen all day long. I said it before. We go through our whole day scripted. We know that when we say this, people do this. We know that when things get awkward, we talk about the weather. We know all this stuff. And that's why, by the way, most people stay so mediocre, because they just go through the normal everyday, this is what happens, this is how, and they need a pattern disrupt. I remember, I think it was 3 years ago, I was doing an event. And when I was done with this event, this lady walks up to me, and I could see it all over her. She was sad. She was in, you know how we know how to go to places, like we know how to be depressed, and we know how. And this was her moment where she was going to share with me about how this was great, but everything in my life is terrible. And this is what she's done over and over again in her life. And she's used to everybody just going, baby, it's okay, and patting her on the head and pushing her on her way. And nothing ever changes because her pattern is never disrupted. And she came up to me and she said, this was fantastic, but here's this happened, and my son keeps doing this, and this keeps happening in my business. And rather than just looking at her and going, it's okay, baby, everything's going to be all right, I looked at her and I said, maybe if you'd stop making stupid decisions, you'd stop getting bad results. And she just, the shock, all of a sudden went like this. And, now by the way, don't do that with everyone unless you have the rapport to do so, because it will not come across well. But now I was able to actually talk to her and talk to her about what needs to change, because I had that shock value that came in. And so that's part of what has to happen in these phrases we're going to talk about. Now, I mentioned yesterday we did something where we talked about lead conversion, where we use some of these types of phrases we're going to talk about. And I'm reminded of a story. One of my good friends, one of my original students who became one of our coaches, one of the top brokers, team leaders in the country, in the U.S., had actually told me a story where he was running this team. He was spending a ton of money to generate all of these leads, and these leads were coming in, and some of his people were converting on these leads, and then a couple of these people consistently were not converting, and they kept telling him it's because the leads suck. The leads suck. The leads are no good. The leads are no good. And so they were getting the same leads as everybody else, but everybody else was converting and they weren't. And the question's why? And I think it had to do with the words they were using, the phrases they were using. And so he made a deal with them. He said, here's what we're going to do. Give me your bad leads, your leads that suck. And I'm going to sit down with you two for an hour, and I'm going to call these leads. And here's the deal I'm going to make you. If I am not able to set up an appointment with these bad leads that you already told me it's impossible, there's nothing going on, I will cut each of you a check for $5,000. And their tail is wagging, and they're like, this is fantastic, let's do this. But he says, if I'm able to set an appointment in the next 60 minutes, we're going to shake hands and we're going to part ways. Okay? I think you know how this story ends. He ends up setting up 3 different appointments. Why? Did the leads change? Did the people he was dealing with change? No. But the words he was using, the phrases he was using, did change. So, while there are a million that we can cover, today we're going to cover 5. I recommend you take notes on these, and these are 5 that you're going to want to work into your real estate business whenever possible, because they're going to get you to the outcomes that you want to get to, okay? First phrase. Would you be offended if... ... Okay? That's the first phrase that you want to start to learn with people. Stop asking people, can I come by this time? Does tomorrow at this? Would you be offended if? Let me explain what I mean. When you are in sales and you are dealing with a prospect, generally speaking, that prospect wants to say what to you? Yes or no? They want to say no, okay? They don't want to say yes. And so instead of saying, hey, can I come by tomorrow and look at your house? The question is, hey, I'm going to be in your neighborhood anyway tomorrow around 4 o'clock. Would you be offended if I stop by for a quick on-site 5-minute price consultation? Would you be offended? Different question. You're talking to a buyer. They want to see a property. You're going back and forth with them. Hey, would you be offended if I set this up for tomorrow at 5 o'clock? Would you be offended? Would you be offended gives them the ability to say what? No, because of course they're not offended. Why would I be offended? No, I wouldn't be offended. But their no to you means what? Yes. Would you be offended is one of those phrases that you want to learn. The second phrase that you're going to want to start building into as many different situations in your real estate business that you possibly can is, especially when you're dealing with buyers, do you have anybody sending you good deals right now? The question is not, are you working with an agent? Because if you say, are you working with an agent, what are they almost always going to say? Yes, just because they know that that question's going to now push you aside and you won't bother them anymore, so they're just going to answer the way that's going to get rid of you. The question is, do you have anyone sending you good deals? That's the question, because that triggers a completely different psychological response for them, and they start to think, are there deals that I'm not aware of? Do they have access to things that I'm not getting? Do they have, and you get a completely different response. Do you have anybody sending you good deals? Watch how that changes the conversation, okay? The third phrase you want to start working in whenever possible is, what would need to happen for ... This is called creating expectation. This is what happens at the beginning of a listing presentation or a conversation you're having. What would need to happen for this meeting to be considered a win and for you to know without a shadow of a doubt that I'm the agent that should be selling your house? What would need to happen for? What would need to happen for you to believe that I'm the right agent to find you the home of your dreams and start getting that job? What would need to happen for? When you create that question, what would need to happen for, what you do is you create different expectation. Because they go into meetings, they go into phone calls or whatever it happens to be, going, we're just going to look around. But when you change the expectation and say, well, for you to know that I'm the agent to sell your house, now they're going to give you a list of criteria as to what has to be met for that to happen. And if that criteria is met, the expectation is now created that they would hire you. What would need to happen for? Amazing phrase you need to start working into more of your meetings with buyers, sellers, whoever it happens to be. The fourth phrase I want you to start working in. It's funny that you're contacting me about ... You're going to, again, depending on the situation, you're going to put in there whatever needs to go. It's funny that you're contacting me about. So, a buyer calls you up and they have a question about your particular listing over at blank. You're going to respond with something like, oh my God, it's funny that you're contacting me about 123 Main Street because there's actually, I was just telling someone there's this amazing feature in the basement, whatever it's going to be. It's funny that you're contacting me about getting your value of your home over in this. I was just telling somebody that this is a neighborhood over here where we're selling, and you start, it's funny that you're now, why does that matter? When you start saying it's funny that you're contacting me about, and it almost sounds like it was meant to be. People like to feel, again, psychologically, like things were meant to be. Like this is the way it was supposed to happen. It gives them comfort. What was the last car sales story you heard from someone where no one ever has a normal car sales story? Nobody ever goes and gets a car and goes, I think I paid in the middle of what most people pay. I don't know. I guess it kind of worked out. We found one. It wasn't exactly what I wanted. Nobody has that story. Every time you talk to someone about going and getting a car, it's they got the best deal ever. The dealership is losing all the money. I don't know how they're staying in business. It just so happened they located the exact vehicle you wanted. Everything just worked out. And that makes everyone feel good. And yet, do you think that's what actually happened? No, it's the psychology of it all. It's all, especially with a purchase of that size, we all like to feel like it was meant to be. One way you do that, it's funny that you're contacting me about blank, blank, blank because, and then you fill in the blanks, okay? People love that. The fifth phrase that you want to start using as much as humanly possible, if you want to start converting more people and getting them to where you want them to be, is I'm going to be at this number for the next. Fill in the blank. When you're responding to people and now you're trying to get them to respond back to you, you need to create deadlines. You need to create scarcity. It makes them value your time, but it also gets them to contact you back quickly because as soon as you put the thought, Inception, Leonardo DiCaprio, as soon as you put the thought in someone's head of a countdown, I'm going to be at this number for the next 30 minutes. I'm going to be at what happens is, think of it like when you sign up for one of our free trainings and you go to the registration page and it says 3 days, 22 hours, 47 seconds, whatever it happens to be, and it's just counting down. That's exactly what happens. Inception occurs. The thought is put in their head, 30 minutes, and the countdown begins, and now they have been given marching orders. They've been given a task of something they need to do in the next 30 minutes, whereas, and you know how this goes, when you talk to someone, if you say, hey, give me a call back when you get a chance. When you get a chance almost never happens, okay? That's just how it works. It's kind of like, I'm gonna do this someday. Someday is not a day in the week. Someday never occurs. You have to give people deadlines in order for them to act in a manner that you want them to act. It's one of the phrases you need to start using. I'm gonna be at this number for the next, whatever it happens to be. Guys, here's what I wanna end with you. We are in the conversion game. Okay, that's what we're in. We are not in just the contact and have fun and socialize. We're in the conversion game. We don't get paid for the number of leads we create. We don't get paid for the number of contacts we have. We get paid according to the number of people that we convert. And so whatever that's going to take to convert them, whether it's frequency, how often you're contacting people, or whether it's the words you're using, the phrases you're using to get people to the place that you need them to be, that's what needs to happen. I said on this training I was doing yesterday with these people on converting leads, I said, look guys, when you get a prospect, stop worrying about ticking them off or feeling like you're being a little too overzealous or because when you deal with a prospect, there's really just two fingers that you're going for, okay? There's two fingers you're looking to get from a prospect, okay? One is the thumbs up. Let's do this. The other finger you're going for, I am not going to do because it will not be allowed on YouTube, but you get the point. You need to get some kind of answer from people, and that takes frequency, that takes consistency, and that also takes understanding the types of phrases and the types of questions that you need to be using on a regular basis, okay? So, I hope you guys have enjoyed this today. As I said in the beginning, guys, go to connectwithjared.com. Let me know what you thought, especially on Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all these different places. Share this with somebody that it's going to help. That's always really cool to me when you guys do that. I really appreciate that. Subscribe on YouTube. We just crossed a milestone on there, so make sure you subscribe on there. And guys, until next time, give me your ideas for other things you want to hear about. I'll talk to you soon. Hey there, you, and I am talking to you in particular, person that made it to the end of my video. It means the world to me. But if you made it to the end, I'm hoping that you'll take a second and subscribe right here. Make sure you share that with all your friends, by the way. They're in real estate, sales, entrepreneurial, whatever it happens to be. By the way, if you're looking for a speaker for your upcoming event, click right here to get some more information. And as usual, if you have a question you want me to personally respond, just connect on social. You can click right over here and see all the platforms I'm on. I hope to hear from you soon. Have a great one.